Vak is the speech, the sound, and then energy or the power is nothing but the prana shakti. The silence gives better understanding than actually explanation. So the language what we are talking can only explain you what you already have something in the, if you have seen that or you know that. Connect to the highest level of power of speech, it is the easiest way is mantra.
Namaste viewers. One wrong word, one inappropriate sentence, and all the fame and name will be lost in an instant, isn't it? We all know that the power of speech holds immense importance in our society. But does the power of word really have that much of significance from the Vedic standpoint? Let's try to understand this from the very expert, our mentor, our Vedic scholar, and of course, our beloved Dr. Nagendra sir, who is a medical doctor and a Vedic scholar. Sir, welcome to our show. Today, kindly help us understand the power of words from the Vedic context, because we all know how much of importance we give to the words we speak. We know that it can either create or destroy. But sir, does it really hold that much of power? Like, you know, we say terms like Vak Shakti, or there is a curse which we are scared of, or sometimes we utter certain strong sentences which is converted as a blessing, which we feel can have a massive positive impact on us. So is it something that's been exaggerated, or is it something that just is used to polish our caliber, or does it really hold some spiritual significance? Kindly explain and enlighten us in this regard, sir.
Namaste. So the topic what we'll be going through for some time now is the power of word.
Yeah.
So as you rightly mentioned, it's a Vak Shakti. Vak is the speech, the sound, and then energy or the power is nothing but the prana shakti. It's a shakti.
Right.
So now we'll try to understand from the different levels of how the word or the dhvani or the shabda is created.
Right.
Today we understand by the word as what comes out, the sound, and that too within the wavelength frequency of 20 to 20,000 hertz, what the human ears can perceive.
Oh, right.
Okay, anything below that or above that we cannot. Ultrasound or supersonic we cannot.
Yeah.
So we cannot hear. So we are least bothered about that. Some animals like even the bats or even animals communication.
Plants communication.
Plants communication. This will be beyond the human audible frequency. That's a 20 to 20,000 cycles per second. That's a hertz what we call it as.
Right.
Now this is the bandwidth, is it what I am calling sound? That is the first step wrong.
Yeah.
So we know that it just within this word that falls within this frequency. But to fall, this is an almost outer aspect of the sound. Now here to get a energy or the strength or the power, we need only outside source. Just like if somebody wants to listen to me, either I should have the power of the designation itself. Like you are the CEO or the manager or the Prime Minister of a country.
Okay.
Where you vote and then people agree to it that whatever you speak that becomes my
Reality or
yes, and then I like to follow that. Or a court judge, the judgment. So there they don't have the power of word by its own. It is given by outside. So this frequency what we are calling power, it's outside, it's an arrangement. But still that can work within this system whoever follows that. If somebody doesn't want to follow, they say that I'm least bothered. I'm not in this league at all. Either they take a wrong path or they leave the society, whichever they want. But that is not our subject.
Right.
Our subject is whether this word that is uttered outside itself has inbuilt energy at all or the power at all. So this is the sound, of course, as a language, it is just a communication, it's a symbol. And you'll be surprised to know that this language is not human created. It's not a creation of the humans at all. We can distort it.
Okay.
We can change and we can give our own contextual meaning, or either most of the time we misunderstand than understand.
Right.
The more we talk, we misunderstand.
Yeah.
The silence gives better understanding than actually explanation. Or a demonstration, practical shows gives a better number. In fact, for that matter, numbers is the best, most definitive way of communication. That's the reason even computer can understand only 1 and 0, binary. The language is binary, 1 and 0, number. That is a Sankhya. Whole Sankhya Shastra, the Sankhya depends on that.
Okay.
So language or the word cannot convey. That can only convey a message only if I know something about that. If I know about the object or a person, if I refer to that, then I can connect to. If I don't know an animal, something like an elephant or a dog, if somebody has not seen an elephant. So, or a picture also. You may explain whatever you want in terms of what is elephant or what is a snake or anything.
Okay.
They will have no idea what you are talking about.
True.
They'll have their own image of what can happen. So the language what we are talking can only explain you what you already have something in the, if you have seen that or you know that.
Yeah.
So it's only within knowing or beating around the bush. And this whole education system is based on that.
Yeah.
But the Vedic education is taking inward. So if this is all limited, then must be something source to that.
Exactly. I was just thinking, I mean, everything that you just explained seems so limited. Then how come power of words exist? And yes. please go
Then
ahead.
you should
Yes.
know very clearly that then the sound actually when it comes out, it goes with the 4 different steps of it. Those who are in at least very near to the Vedic ideas, they know that para, pashyanti, madhyama, vaikhari. Para is the most supreme para. And then pashyanti, where you can see the sound. Madhyama is what you are seeing can take the form of the sound. Vaikhari is the expression. What we are talking today as word or speech or language is only the expression part of it. Do we anytime realize that when we want to talk, how many times we think and talk?
Very less, I think.
And almost never. It just flows out.
Yes.
Even a very scholarly speech,
Yes.
or when you take it from the memory, who is actually flowing it out? These are already in that process state of madhyama. All that you have to give is allow your vocal cords to articulate that sound and allow it to come it out. And there are many mechanisms behind that. For this Vak Shakti, there is one is definitely Agni Tattva. Agni is that willpower. Without that, I will not be interested to speak at all. That's the first thing. And there is a Vak Devati Saraswati who actually inspires me to talk about.
Okay.
And then there is the Vayu, Prana Shakti, the sound itself that comes out.
True.
And there are other aspects which is involved, like to speak very fluently, you need that water content, the saliva, the Varuna,
Okay.
who is also the vastness. And then you should have a good mind state, mental state, the Shiva. It goes on. So now you see there are so many aspects. When I say these are not just the gods or deities, these are the energies which brings in together just to articulate a word outside.
Whether awarefully or otherwise.
Yes, definitely. If that is not, just like if the prana shakti is low, a child cannot pronounce ra.
Correct. We have seen.
Many
Instead they
times
say
it
love.
happens.
Yeah.
Yes, it happens that the ra, these are very, today we talk about speech therapy with a very limited knowledge. We are working on most outside aspect of it.
Okay.
Like only working on the cloth is done, embroidery done on it.
Yeah.
So more worried about the embroidery, not worried about the cloth, not worried about the threads, not worried about the source of the thread, not worried about the plant and the seed. You see that goes on.
Very true.
So this is where the decoration of the speech, the scholarly speech goes on. Now when we say this, there are different levels. Then what is the easiest way to get connect? We have a direct source of all these powers of speech. That is the Veda mantra.
The source of all this.
Yes, the source today what we have it.
Okay.
When we say Veda, it has nothing to do with the religion. As always we say, this is nothing religious about it.
Okay.
Religion is again a convenience of what to put it in a, just like our constitution or we have our own set of rules.
True.
So with the practice, those kind of people coming together said, let us follow this religiously. And they gave it a name to that. That's all. Either you follow or not follow, nobody is bothered.
Yeah.
So with time it changes.
Yeah.
So this is going with more with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Veda means with the knowledge and it can be experienced, it's not theoretical. Now there these rishis were actually, we know the Vedas are also Shrutis. They call it as Shruti, that means which you can hear.
Right.
Shruti is also rhythm. That's the difference between noise and music. So anything that is put it in a definite pattern, that becomes a rhythm, and then it's a music, and then a rhythmic becomes a noise. Today most of the music has become a noise, or even the speech has become a noise,
Yes.
annoying noise.
Yeah.
So now this para pashyanti madhyama vaikari, if I want to see that, at least we should know, or we can start with the imagination, that there is something processing happening inside me before even I actually utter a word. That's the first step. That's a faith we should have.
Okay.
Otherwise, then we say that I don't want. This is not for those people who say that I am not bothered where the sound comes from. If you are interested to know where the sound comes from, then your inner journey starts. Otherwise, you'll be lost in the outside sound.
Okay. True.
In a marketplace, to be more precise.
Okay.
So then you are bound to get disturbed with all those noises and sounds. Now this, what is this para? Para is the source. That's a reference point, absolute. So we cannot define that. That's a paramatma, what we say, or anything param, the supreme. It's a reference point to the discussion, because you cannot put that into the any kind of words. I can only describe an aspect of it. Just like I don't an animal, I cannot explain. If I have seen and you have seen, then we can discuss.
True.
If I have seen and you have not seen, whatever I say, you cannot follow. If both of us not seen, then there is no point in discussing.
Correct.
So that is a para.
Right.
Then the rishis were in a state where they were able to see this sound, pashyanti.
Wow.
What is seeing the sound? Then we go deep in this, like, can we see the sound? Today, even the most physically also, the sound, you can use a transducer and then you put it on a monitor, you can see the ultrasound image. The sound can be easily converted into the visual aspect,
Yes.
because it's just a wavelength.
And there's this latest thing about Dr. Masaru Emoto crystallizing the whole thing with water droplets, where the microscopic images were taken and how every word was actually creating an image, very similar to the sound wave thing also.
This is a technology, a technique or a procedure bringing out.
Yeah.
But here the rishis were looking at where is the source of the sound itself.
Yeah.
Something like we say Om, Omkara, where it is coming from. So if you can tap that source, which is the source of energy, and if you continue that same without human interference, then the sound will continue having that energy and put it out. This is how the mantra was coming out. This is what the rishis were trying to, the Pashyanti, Madhyama. This is a tapash, when they are deep meditation, that's a Pashyanti state. So they get these flashes or the images or the sounds, and then there is an articular system which is actually in the Madhyama. It happens just like how we bring an idea, an intuition, a concept, and then crystallizing that, the thought formation, and then the sound, and then putting in a most best way to bring it out, then express it. That's the Vaikhari. If we are able to do that from the above the intuition and above that, where the source of energy and the sound are together, bring it down and then as it is, leave it there. Without the intervention of this, my selfish nature disturbing that. Most of the things when we talk, either we try to impress or just express. Then there is a selfish aspect. So even if you don't know this, if somebody talks, will you not be able to make out whether the person is actually speaking that it just, or the first is just like a lip service, say that, oh, okay. When you say good morning, we can easily sense whether the person actually means it is good, is a morning, or is connecting to me, or is just saying that, are you still alive?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Formality.
So this is the Vak Shakti or the Veda mantra. Can we do that? Yes, definitely.
Wow.
If we can bring it, the first is becoming selfless when he's expressing, and the next is this, whatever I am making, the Vaikhari that is coming out, it is sharing of a knowledge or taking a knowledge. The whole aspect of Vedic period was based on the knowledge. The whole idea of life means knowledge. If it is away from the knowledge, it's death. Now we'll be surprised even to know what we call it as Satya Yuga, where the word and the meaning were same. Now today we have word and a meaning to that. You see, that's the world apart.
True. Absolutely.
This is Kali
Yes,
Yuga.
yes.
When it started, both were one.
Yes.
That is, one is what? Whatever the word, it means. When I say this is, it will happen.
Yes.
This is what we say when the Jnani says something,
True.
the possibility of it, or it will happen, because the word means it is. For the divine, not even word is required. The very thought or the will or even the sankalpa matra, even before it formation happens, he thinks and it happens.
Yeah.
That's what we call as a reference.
Yeah.
Then we bring the Jnani or the Rishi, where the word and meaning, because they don't know the truth and false as what we call today true, false, and then the lie or anything.
Yeah.
Because this is now when I say something, then I have to say what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to express.
Yeah.
Or the person who, I am very sure the person listening will not even know.
Yeah.
Then I repeatedly say what I mean, because there is no meaning in that.
And then there's this term called miscommunication and all
Yes, miscommunication, because we are not bringing the source of power with that.
that. Yeah.
Now if we can bring that, all this Agni and the Saraswati, the Vayu, the Varuna, the Soma, the Shiva, all this will pouring out with the Vakdevata, Vak Shakti. This is the unique character of human being of speech. None of the animals or the bird, plant life, or even you take any of the manifested one, doesn't have this aspect of the speech. The highest of the speech is mantra. Now, if I want to experience that power easily, of course, any person with a very kind heart, when they speak, immediately we are able to connect to that energy.
Yeah.
But for that, it's again a multi-level law.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to connect to the highest level of power of speech, it is the easiest way is mantra. It can be either mantra chanting or mantra listening or even the meanings of the mantra.
So can this conscious speech be like a pre-preparation for me to access the depth of mantra chanting?
Any word can become mantra. Or in fact, every word should become mantra. Manatrayate. The mind will become, the manas will become so pure, whatever I speak, it's just a mantra.
Doctor, please pardon me for the next question. This is for the benefit of some of the viewers. Now, this comes with so much of depth. You spoke about all these divine energies working through. But for a layman, if somebody wants to consciously work towards bringing in more power to their speech, then without knowledge of all these aspects, if they have to improvise on bringing that energy from the source through our speech, then how do we become awareful? How do we initiate it? How do we filter out the unwanted? Is there any tips or suggestions for that to start off with?
So today what we call it as a personality development, or we call it as for the speakers.
The
so
communication skills and
communication skills. All these are based on the outside aspect only. Now the most best way is, how do you communicate with someone you love? So do you need some preparation for that? What do you need?
No, we just connect deeply. There's that authenticity which is flowing through. There is transparency.
And nothing I want it in return.
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing. It is, love is about giving. That's a bhakti. When I want to give, the person in front of me will definitely accept that. Give in the sense, whatever that is in the form of the purest form. That's the first thing. The intent should be good. And then I speak from my heart. When I say the heart is, it is going to the essence, from there I bring it out. And then the difference between, this is the sound is just a medium between two selves. And you see, one is self is here, one is self there, and then it's a bridging this. There's like there is a Bhagavanta, and then the Bhakta, and there is a Bhakti. The sound is also an aspect of that. So when you listen to music or a good word or a kind words, or somebody actually just be there in silence next to you, you feel that energy. The first thing is the purification process of from the selfish I to becoming the selfless I. So that immediately there is all the impurities gone out. That's what Saraswati does. That's the Pavakanaha Saraswati. That's what Agni Tattva does. Agni, whatever you put, it will burn and bring it to the ashes and purify. Even the dirt, dust, whatever it is. Then it expresses as the walk. It comes out. If the intent is good, and if you want to express your heart, that's the most basic thing to do. Don't worry about the word selection. Don't worry about impressing someone. Don't worry that somebody will misunderstand you. All these are egocentric. That's something they may misunderstand you. That aspect of ego, I think in the last episode we spoke about the ego. When you take out this, it becomes purified. From here, all expression becomes the mantra. So whether you know it or not, the self inside knows it. The filter of mind and then the ego and the selfishness, the egoism, is what is trying to manipulate. The worst thing of manipulation is to deceive yourself that you are intelligent and then you can manipulate anyone. That's the highest.
Beautiful.
So then anybody can get deceived, but do you get a good sleep? Never. You know, you can't even face the other person.
True.
But if you are truthful, being truthful is the most essential aspect of a very beautiful communication.
So working on a speech is not complicated if we understand this from this perspective. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Doctor. Well, viewers, all I can say about this episode is the very term communication skill has been redefined today after watching this episode or listening the wisdom pouring out from Dr. Nagendra sir, isn't it? We have a lot more to discuss on this, but we'll keep it for our next episode. For instance, the mantra chanting, the accurate pronunciation, will something wrong happen if we don't pronounce them accurately, so on and so forth. But for that, you'll have to wait for our next episode. And yes, by now we all understand why certain words or certain affirmations affirmations hold such deep importance while working on our health. Subconsciously, we suggest some affirmations to be worked on. I'm sure you know about so many things that is coming up, like, chanting some positive statements, standing in front of the mirror and uttering out certain good, beautiful words to ourselves. So all this, with this understanding, will definitely hold more significance and meaning from today, isn't it? Do let us know your opinion in the comment box. We'll see you again in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Doctor. We'll see you again. Namaste.